A lot of people keep saying there are no major gun law changes coming in 2026. But once you actually dig into the state laws taking effect, that story falls apart fast. Several states are rolling out rules that could hit AR and AK owners with deadlines, storage mandates, re-registration, or even full-on possession restrictions if you're not paying attention. What's good? This is Ted from The Elite Collector. And today I'm breaking down the states where 2026 laws could seriously affect you if you own an AR or AK. Most gun owners are watching what's happening in DC, but the real action in 2026 is happening at the state level. There is no new federal assault weapon ban right now, the old one expired back in 2004. But blue states have been stacking their own restrictions for years, and several of them are tightening the screws next year. If you own a semi-automatic rifle that takes detachable magazines and has any common military-style features, these laws are written with you in mind. When states say assault weapon, they're not talking about rate of fire. They're talking about feature combinations, pistol grips, folding or telescoping stocks, flash suppressors, threaded barrels, barrel shrouds, or certain magazine setups. Different states use different language. New York uses a one-feature test under the SAFE Act. New Jersey bans guns that are substantially identical to listed models. Massachusetts goes after anything it considers a copy or duplicate of a banned rifle. For 2026, the pattern is clear. Some states are adding new possession limits or movement restrictions. Others are forcing re-registration, adding eligibility cards or training before purchase, or tightening storage rules with criminal penalties attached. If you live in one of these states, treating 2026 like just another year is how people get blindsided. What AR and AK owners should do before 2026. You can't change the statutes by yourself, but you can make sure you're not an easy target. Connecticut, Maryland, and Washington apply pressure through audits, storage rules, and administrative enforcement rather than sudden bans. In Connecticut, 2026 marks serious audits of the assault weapon registry. Registered rifles must be stored in locked safes, cabinets, or with approved locking devices starting April 1, 2026. If law enforcement finds a registered rifle unsecured, criminal charges can stack fast. Maryland is expanding its banned rifle list around October 1, 2026. Owners of newly banned rifles will have a short window, roughly 90 days, to move them out of state, transfer them legally elsewhere, or surrender them. After that, possession becomes a felony. Washington continues tightening through training requirements, storage mandates, and expanded red flag laws. Semi-auto rifle purchases require certified training, and storage rules demand locking when firearms aren't in use. Expanded extreme risk protection orders make it easier for courts to temporarily seize firearms based on perceived risk. California isn't rolling out a brand new rifle law in 2026, but it is targeting another piece of many people's setups. Under AB 1127, starting July 1, 2026, California gun stores are banned from selling so-called semi-automatic machine gun convertible pistols. That's legal language for pistols, like many Glock models, that the state claims could be converted to full auto with illegal conversion devices. Dealers will no longer be allowed to sell, transfer, or deliver those pistols after the cutoff date. Existing owners are grandfathered. If you're an AR or AK owner in California, this still matters. This is the same logic the state uses on rifles, not banning rate of fire directly, but banning firearms based on what they claim the gun could become. Once that precedent is set for pistols, it's easy to apply the same reasoning to AR pistols, braced builds, or specific rifle platforms down the line. It also means certain firearms become California. Different states use different language. New York uses a one-feature test under the SAFE Act. New Jersey bans guns that are substantially identical to listed models. Massachusetts goes after anything it considers a copy or duplicate of a banned rifle. That wording is what pulls standard AR-15 and AK pattern rifles into the net, even when they're sold in so-called compliant configurations. For 2026, the pattern is clear. Some states are adding new possession limits or movement restrictions. Others are forcing re-registration, adding eligibility cards or training before purchase, or tightening storage rules with criminal penalties attached. If you live in one of these states, treating 2026 like just another year is how people get blindsided. Why grandfathered doesn't mean safe forever. One thing I need people to understand is this: just because a rifle is grandfathered today does not mean it's untouchable forever. States love to sell that idea, don't worry, you can keep what you already own. But what they don't say out loud is that grandfathering almost always comes with strings attached. Registration requirements change. Storage rules get tighter. Renewal deadlines show up out of nowhere. And suddenly, a rifle that was perfectly legal becomes illegal not because you bought something new, but because you missed a form, a deadline, or a rule update you didn't even know existed. That's how a lot of people lose their rights, not through defiance, but through paperwork. If your state says your AR or AK is grandfathered, your next question shouldn't be "cool, I'm good." It should be "under what conditions, and for how long?" Feature creep: how legal rifles become illegal overnight. Another trend to watch going into 2026 is feature creep. States rarely announce sweeping bans anymore. Instead, they tweak definitions. One word gets added. One phrase gets reinterpreted. And suddenly, a rifle that passed inspection for years is now a problem. We've already seen this. Yes, many of these laws are being challenged. Yes, Bruen changed the legal landscape. And yes, some of these restrictions may eventually get struck down. But here's the reality: until a court issues an injunction or overturns the law, compliance is mandatory. People lose cases every year because they assumed a law wouldn't hold up. Courts don't reward optimism. They enforce what's written. If a law gets struck later, that doesn't erase charges, seizures, or convictions that already happened. If a law gets struck later, that doesn't erase charges, seizures, or convictions that already happened. Final warning for AR and AK owners heading into 2026. If you own an AR or AK, 2026 is not the year to coast. It's the year to double-check everything. Your rifle's classification. Your paperwork. Your storage. Your future plans. The people who get burned aren't usually the loud ones. They're the ones who thought nothing had changed. Stay informed. Know your state's definitions. Keep your compliance boring and airtight. That's how you keep your rights intact while everyone else is figuring out what went wrong.